Your sister's gonna get them both. So this is Shira and Nika, and they are two twin sister Siberian tigers. Now tigers are the largest of the large cats. The two main species of tiger is the Siberian or Amur and the Bengal. Bengal is actually the largest out of all of them. Males can weigh in at over 1,000 pounds. So these two girls, they're pretty big for Siberian tiger females. They weigh about 350 pounds each, and that's for a female. That's pretty large. But if you look at the way they're built compared to the lions or jags, you can see it's a lot different. These guys are nice and long and lean. They can run very, very fast. They've got that long, skinny body and that nice, long, slender body, that nice, long tail, and the kind of skinnier legs. They're not as muscular as the other cats. Now these girls are 14. Their parents, or they came from a facility in Ontario, and their parents actually didn't produce milk, or their mom didn't produce milk for them. And the zoo at the time didn't have the proper staff to care for these two babies, because raising a baby animal is very much like a kid. It's no 9 to 5. They stay at the zoo for the night. I'll see you tomorrow. I mean, they come home with you. There's feeding. It's a big chore. So they didn't have the proper staff to, take care of these two babies. So we got them when they were just a few weeks old. We were able to take them home, raise them, feed them. Now we actually did work with these guys free contact, which if you remember, free contact is where you're going into the pen with them, up until they were around 3 years old. And then due to staffing issues too, we just didn't have staff that was staying around long enough. And that's really not fair to the animals, because when you're training an animal, especially something like a cat or something free contact, it does require a very, very strong bond of trust. You can't just jump in there and just start training a tiger, right? Because they don't know you, you don't know them, and it's just unsafe all around. So because we had such a jump in staff, your sister got both of them. We were unable to continue working with them free contact. So we do work with them protected contact as well. These two are getting up there in age. Like I said, Nika, the one that's closest to us here, she is starting to go blind in one eye. So when we train at the park, we actually train with hand and verbal commands. And simply this is beneficial because if they start to go deaf and they're having problems hearing the words that we're saying to them, they still have the hand signals that they know what that means, and vice versa. With Nika going blind in one eye, she's having problems seeing the hand signals more. So we really have to rely on vocal with Nika. We very much vocalize with her. Now, tigers, they do have that big majestic roar, like I said with the MGM lions. These guys don't purr though. They actually make what's called a chuffing sound. Does anybody know what a chuffing sound is with the tigers? Have you ever heard a tiger make a chuffing sound? It's simply they're kind of blowing air. Large cats that roar can't purr, and large cats that purr can't roar. So the only two large cats that actually don't roar are cheetahs and cougars. The mechanisms in their throat are switched. So cheetahs actually make a chirping sound, and cougars kind of make a meowing sound like a cat. So these two can't purr, but they do make a chuffing sound, which is kind of something similar to a house cat. It shows affection, it shows happiness. So if you listen, you might actually hear Nika. She might get up, she kind of comes and walks up at the front. Hi. Nika. I'll see if I can get her to do it. Nika. You eat some grass by accident. Say hi. She's ignoring me. I got nothing else for you. I know. She thinks she needs to have more. So now that Nika's up here at the front, let's take a look at her stripes here. And her sister's at the back and probably not going to come up, but she's sitting perfect for us right now. You see that she does have all those nice, beautiful stripes on her. Tiger stripes, no two tigers have the same set of stripes. It's kind of like our fingerprints. They might look similar, but there's always going to be one little difference. Now, even though these two are twin sisters and littermates, they do have different spots. One of the easiest ways to tell Nika is if you look on her head right here, you see above her eyes, she's got those two check marks. But you see how the check marks kind of just stop? Okay, so that's how you tell that's Nika. This is just one way. She's got those two check marks that just stop. And Shira at the back, she's got those check marks under her eyes, but they actually come up and form almost a unibrow. So there are differences. And another really cool thing about their stripes is if you actually were to shave a tiger, like if for a medical reason or something, if you had to shave a patch of skin or fur off the tiger, the stripes are still on their skin. It's almost like a tattoo. So if you shave them, they still have the exact same stripe pattern on their skin, which is kind of neat. Hi, sweetheart. Can you talk? I know. I want more. I got nothing else for you. So something I always kind of like to tell people too is you guys see how she's got those white spots on the back of their ears? It's an old Chinese legend that the reason that the tiger has those spots on the back of their ears is that typical eyes in the back of the head. The Chinese believe that the tigers do have the spots in the back of their head so they can see what's coming around from all around them. So you might hear the expression, I know I've heard it a few times, eyes in the back of your head like a tiger. That's an expression that sometimes you hear people use. And that's the reason, because they have those white spots in the back of their head. And it's also kind of guessed that for anything that's trying to hunt them, they're supposedly supposed to see those white spots and go, oh, well, they're looking at me, I can't sneak up on them. Now, these guys are called, like I said, Siberian tigers, but they're also called Amur tigers. Now, the reason why they're called Amur tigers now is because they only used to think that they were found in Siberia, so in Russia. But they actually started finding them in other places around the world too, in parts of Korea, China. So naturally, I'll just change up the name. So an Amur tiger and the Siberian tiger are exactly the same thing. Now, tigers are very, very endangered. There are only an estimated 700 left in the wild. So there's really not a lot, and that is mainly due to habitat loss and also people. People are, a big cause of a lot of the animals decreases. With the lions, they did say over a century ago there was over 250,000 lions in the wild. And today they're saying there's only about 25, and that the lion could be extinct actually in the next 10 years. Same with the elephant. The African elephant could be extinct in the next 10 years. With the white rhino, there's only 4 of the subspecies white rhinos left in the world. There's 4 of them, that's it. So if you guys might have seen on the news or stuff, but with these white rhinos now, they actually have, each rhino has 2 jeeps full of soldiers with guns that follow those rhinos around. That's their job, 24/7. It's their job to protect these 4 last remaining rhinos on the planet. So these guys, like I said, they are an endangered species. There's actually more tigers in captivity than in the wild. And like I said at the lions, I was talking about that breeding program. The reason why no zoos right now are releasing any animals back into the wild is just because it's not safe. I mean, I'm sure you guys all heard about Cecil the lion, that big blow up thing, right? It's just not safe. And we, as caregivers to these animals, we're not going to breed them and raise these babies just to send them out in the wild and be made into a rug or a trophy, right? So zoos are still doing the breeding thing. We are still, we continue the breeding, we continue taking care of them in hopes that someday we are able to start releasing, the big cats and the elephants and things like that back into the wild. Because if you ask any zookeeper, if they'd rather see an animal in captivity or the wild, everyone's going to say the wild, right? I mean, that's where they belong, but it's our job to take care of them, give them a proper home until we can start putting them back in the wild. You're pretty.
What do them do in the winter?
What do these guys do in the winter? Yeah. Well, these guys, they're a little bit different than the tigers and lions and jags, sorry. These guys, because they come from Siberia, Russia, they love the winter. In Russia, it can be up to -60, and in the summertime, it can be up to +40. So it's very, very similar to ours. So in the wintertime, these girls have no issue whatsoever. They love the winter. They're way more active in the winter. Same thing as the jags. They love to play around. They love the snow because to them, that's native, right? I mean, that's where they're from. Are you being cute?
They're talking to you.
She is talking. Please show me your chuck. She's like, dude, you're crazy. I can't do it.
How does she talk to you?
Well, right now, she sees this empty container and thinks that she should get another piece of meat.
Oh,
no.
Funny.
Now, if you guys look at her feet here, you can see that, you might not be able to see, but these 2 girls actually don't have claws. And that was done at the other facility. These 2 were declawed. Both the jags and the lions do have their claws. Some facilities choose to declaw cats, especially if they plan on going in and working with them. Not all, but some do. And it is a very painful process. It does require to go in and break every single finger and actually pull the claw out. So when these 2 were pretty much newborns, they did take out their claws. So it is a little bit different. It does make it a little bit more difficult for them sometime when we're training them, especially if it's, rolling the slippery ball. They can't dig their claws into it like a normal cat, like the jags or anything, or grabbing meat. So we kind of have to just play it up with them. It causes them no pain now. I mean, they're completely fine with it. But sometimes people do ask, they say, well, we see their paws, but we don't see the claws. That's the reason they don't have any claws on their feet. Now, one more really quick thing here. I did talk about cats being obese. Nika, now that she's up here walking around, just profile her. You see how she's nice and long and skinny? You see how you can kind of see that little dip in her hip bone there? That's ideal what you want to see in a big cat in captivity, okay? People always say, well, she looks so skinny. This is primo. Like, Shira, her sister, is actually a little bit overweight. With tigers especially, you want to be able to see the tips of the hip bone sticking. You don't want to see ribs because that means that they are too skinny, but you do want to see that tip of a hip bone. And a lot of places go to the zoo and you see the big, round tigers. That's not how they're supposed to be. So just kind of look at her and profile her and just see. She is in perfect shape right now. You see what I mean when I say the hip bone on her back leg there? You can kind of see that little peak. That's what you want to see. You can't see any of her ribs, so she's not too skinny. And you know, you can, because you can see that she's not too fat. So she is at a perfect health or perfect weight right now. Aren't you? I got nothing else for you. I know.